Hello and welcome everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. And welcome to this three-part conversation series on the role and impact of technology in amplifying the power of coaching. And happy International Coaches Week to all you ICF coaches out there. I'm your host, Meenakshi Iyer, founder and principal of NorthStar Solutions and Services, which is a boutique future work-oriented coaching, training, and consulting practice. And I'm physically located in Virginia in the US. And I have the privilege of serving clients globally by virtue of having a virtual practice. And I myself am a personal agility, self-leadership, and change leadership coach. And I focus on working with mid-career technology leaders, women in tech, and other folks like myself who speak English as an additional language. I support them in their people and change leadership journeys. And it is my absolute pleasure today to host this conversation series and have a couple of my friends who are also happen to be coaches join me in this conversation. Shruti Kulkarni, who's based in India, and Nannapat Sage, who's based here in the US in Detroit. And so since there's been so much talk about technology, and I think there's probably only 5 people in this world who've not used ChatGPT or said the word ChatGPT at this point. And so given the theme for this year's International Coaching Week, Explore Your Potential, what I really wanted to do was explore the potential of technology and technology-driven processes and systems and how those will interact with coaching and what does the future of coaching look like. And so the way this whole conversation series is designed is we start off our conversation series today by talking to a couple of coaches just to get an understanding of what does it look like on the ground. And the next session is tomorrow, where we meet with the co-founders of a software platform that's designed for coaches and clients alike called Medu. And the co-founders are based in Australia. So we're meeting with them tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock Eastern time, to understand from them what is it that got them into that, and what are they looking to do, and what's the future of Medu look like. And on Friday, we wrap it up by meeting with another bunch of technologists, co-founders of Yerbo, who are based here in the Western Hemisphere, in Latin America. And their software platform is designed for coaches and consultants to run assessments and studies out of that. So it's really, there's a lot of facets of technology that's come into coaching, and this whole conversation series is, and I know that it's not even a scratch on the surface, there's so much out there, but this is a way to just get the conversation started. So having said all that, I'd love to invite my guests today to introduce themselves a little bit and tell us more about your coaching journey, how you got into coaching, and what is it that you do today. So I would start off with Nannapat.
Oh, nice to meet you all today. And so my name is Nannapat Sage. I originally came from Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm now in the US. I've been in the US for about 10 years now. And I'm a founder of Potentia consulting and coaching firm based in Detroit, Michigan. So I work with a lot of leaders and business owners, small and mid-sized business owners, to help them with the team dynamics and also leadership performance, helping turning the team around to be able to have more engagement and turn them into a high-performing team. So my coaching journey started about 12 years ago, actually, when I needed one, and I didn't know that I needed a coach, right? So it went into the personal development journey. I met with my first coach, and then he was saying like, you should be a coach. It's like, nah. I didn't want to be a coach. I had no idea, but then he was right. So eventually, I turned into a coach, and now I have a full practice of coaching and consulting services. So that's a little bit of my journey.
That's wonderful, and thank you so much for sharing that. And your own lived experience, and I know you and I have chatted before, Nannapat, the whole intersectional experience that you have, the immigrant experience here in the U.S., and the different approaches to people operations and to talent management. So I'm so looking forward to hearing more from you today. Thank you so much. Shruti, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Shruti Kulkarni here, and thank you, Meenakshi, for this invite. It's an honor to even meet Nannapat for the first time for me. So a joy to be here, all in all. I've been agilist professionally, and I think in hindsight, I've been trained to be an agilist all my life, coming from an army family. And I talk about this very vocally because it's just a different mindset that you're raised up in uniform families, and not better or worse, but just different. And I think that kind of made me ready to be an agilist professionally as well. It was just a calling, and I didn't know it was called that. But thankfully, I found it. And I currently work with a company called Synchrony Financial. I am with them as an agilist as well, full-time. But as an ICF coach, I think I have been in the coaching space for a few years now, for 5-6 years, but I think ICF journey began just a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago, when I was doing usual coaching and I had my own tools and techniques. But I think a client of mine made me realize that I needed more to be equipped. And in all vulnerability, I'm going to say this, I was petrified that I did not have enough tools in my kit to cater to so many people that were coming to me. And that's when I think I looked to ICF, and it gave me a whole different perspective. So currently in the coaching journey, I cater to personal agility. I also cater to supporting people's creative journeys, because I do workshops for stillness and displaying the power of pause through painting. So those are two things that I very much cater to anybody who would wish to partner with me. And alongside that journey, I think also having been I'm a master's in robotics and electronics. So I think technology plus behavior is a very keen interest of mine altogether. I've been able to publish a couple of papers in the same area. So that's just a gist about me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shruti. And such a joy to have also met you in person a few weeks ago, and now to have you here. It's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. And and I'm just plugging in Shruti's and Nannapat's LinkedIn links here so folks can connect with you. I also wanted to share just a little bit about how I got into coaching. My experience has been, I say I have a portfolio career. I've been in different industries over the past 25 years and different roles up and down all levels of hierarchy. And I think coaching I fell into coaching and loved it. And it's been a journey of personal transformation for me. And I think that whenever I talk to folks about coaching, I'm sold on coaching, not because I'm trained as a coach, but because of the amazing experience that I've had as a client. And I absolutely believe that coaching is one of the most impactful of human interactions, and because it provides that time and space where you really have a conversation with yourself in the presence of a coach who facilitates that conversation for you. And so when I think about so to me, coaching is, fairly sacred as well, that engagement, that partnership between the coach and the client. And so for me, when I think about the use of technology, and I come from the world of technology, I've been in software and product development and implementation, and I'm an agile practitioner as well for the last almost a decade. So I realized that I've been using all of the coaching competencies, if you will, for way longer than I had even realized. But then I've been a professional coach for the last 3 years, a certified coach. So what came up for me as I started thinking about and reading about the way everything technology is taking the world by storm is how will this innately human process of coaching, what will that look like with everything being so technology driven? Yeah. So I wanted to start off this conversation, and I want to start with you, Shruti. And the first question I wanted to ask you was, what is that one big shift that you're seeing in the world of coaching? And given that you come from the world of technology and you've also studied that, right? So what is it that you're seeing, that one big shift in the world of coaching?
I look at it to be a multiple fold. I think there's quite a few shifts coming about under the umbrella of technology, but also just a common thread. Where I come from the banking sector of technology, and I've also worked in networking and embedded. I think the common theme that, at least from my observation, is that how do we especially with AI taking, there's 4 different versions in 2 months, right? We don't have enough capacity to stay updated with the versions that are coming up to even legalize them, and then the next version is up there. And so I want to say that one common theme is how do we make the most of what's coming? And there seems to be this gush of energy that's being put into how to make the most of what's coming, right? Whether it's ChatGPT, it's GPT-4, it's training AI. But I'm like you. I feel like I'm a little skeptical because how much ever you want to use the technology, there is at some point we have to remember it's an aid to coaching. It is not a replacement for human interaction. And I think that's a line that has not been drawn anywhere right now. We're still exploring. So I think one common thread that I see is just everything's coming right at us. Everything's shiny, everything's amazing. And how do we make the most of it to make this a great impact and then put something out there for everyone to use? So I think that's something that I see a lot happening nowadays. It's a bandwagon for everyone to join on, right? Like you said, there's hardly a handful of people. We might be as well living under a rock if we've not practiced on ChatGPT as of yet. But just one thing I think is just everyone's in competition to make the most of it.
Thank you. Yeah, it is overwhelming. I can say that. So personally, for me, it has been overwhelming. So the way I'm dealing with it is by just letting it pass for a bit and see what settles, and then trying to learn that, as opposed to being on the bandwagon. So I totally understand that. Thank you. Nannapat, how about you? What is the one big shift you are seeing?
So I think there are 2 things on the so I'm going to talk about the overall market in coaching. So basically, I see a lot of shift in the demand of coaching. I see that companies understand now that coaching is not about fixing somebody's broken, and I'm talking about corporate coaching. So not about fixing, but turning things around in terms of the dynamic. And now it's not only executive level that have coaching or high performers, but now companies are opening up for employees. So employees will start that coaching journey as well. With company, it means that there will be more demand for coaching. So what I see is happening in the market like that, then it's just consistent with how we can leverage the AI to be able to help coaches to be more productive. As you know, AI coming in to be able to help with training and some knowledge that we probably not going to be able to do it a lot at a massive scale like that. But I believe that AI can help in that matter. But with technology, with even the advanced AIs, you can't replace human interaction. So I was joking with my clients that, as long as humans still have emotions, I think I can, I still have a job
Mm,
as a coach, right? Because in the future, will AI be able to detect emotions? They have camera that detect the facial expression now,
mm,
but it's not yet effective. So in the future, what would it look like? I don't know. But at the moment, at least for the next few years, we still need a lot of coaching, like human interaction, but habit. We have apps and things like that help coaches
mm,
to get into um, the meat of it. Is just not like you haven't done your homework, or you missed on your habit tracking. Let's dive in. So what is holding you back and things like that. So we don't need to just um, get stuck on the admin. That's what I see happening in the integration of coaching and technology.
mm, mm. That's fascinating. And what came up for me, Nannapat, as you were sharing, is that yes, I totally agree with you. As long as there are emotions, I think we still need humans. And the other thing is, what came up for me is there are two aspects of coaching, right? The transactional piece and the transformational piece. And I love what you said, that technology, we as coaches can view technology as an aid that helps us become more productive or have greater scale so that we can reach more and more people, given that there is a shift in focus within companies as well on democratizing coaching, really, and using technology as an aid instead of a replacement. Thank you for calling that out. So in your day to day, and I know both of you are, and that's why I wanted to get the two of you together, because you not only do you live in different parts of the world, but also your focus as a coach is also slightly different. And so I want to take this back to Shruti to ask you, what has been your experience as a life coach in using technology as an assistive in an assistive manner with your clients?
Um, I think in the last couple of years, there's been, at least for me, from a personal front, I can say there's been a real need from the coaching side to have an online appearance. Previously, I could meet people maybe in a coffee shop, or like I could meet them in a co-working space, and that would suffice. But now the clients also want to be on the go, and they say, hey, can I see you at XYZ time? So the capability of video conferencing has been, I would say, at least tripled, if not more. That's been a major change in how I've been able to cater to people's needs. Just using that need, right? So people don't shy away from saying, I don't want a coach. I think all of us at some point or the other come across people who say, oh no, I'm fine, I don't need a coach, I'm doing absolutely fine. But also some people who know that I've got this online presence, or I can set up time with them, I've got a Calendly that they could book on. The digital aspect of it makes it more appealing for them to see that this concept is approachable. So I think that's number one. And I think the second is also, I am still exploring this, is use technology to support in visualization. I think visualization is such a key. We don't give it enough importance in a day-to-day life also. I think I've practiced a lot with my parents as well. It's strange. They've been the guinea pigs of this, but having technology support you in visualization techniques is something that I am exploring. And I think, at least for the couple of people that I've been able to help on this concept, it has been working. And I say this because they've told me that it's working. So it's getting somewhere. I think these two things, I'm really, the first one, I'm really happy that it has grown that way. That just means that I can cater to more people. And there is a lot of personalization in terms of presence. And the second thing I think is very new to me also. I am still learning. And I want to see where this takes me. The VR and I mean, I don't know. I know there's a lot of tools and techniques I'm yet to get my hands on, but visualization is something that I'm very excited about to use technology for.
And then VR is virtual reality?
Virtual reality.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the ones that I was able to use were in testing phase. So I consider myself very privileged at this point. But I also know that in days to come, with AI being such a normal thing, the prices are becoming slower and slower. They're becoming affordable for normal people as well. Previously, VR would be like, oh, we've got VR. This must be high end as a person, as a business. But now it's becoming affordable. So I would love if like more and more coaches can get their hands on it, and just to understand, personalize. There's so many therapy sessions also that happen via VR. And not to say that it's anywhere close to coaching. It's very different, of course. But I again, just bringing it back to visualization, I think I'm excited about that.
That's fascinating. And you actually sort of that was another question that I was going to ask both of you, is what is the one shift that you've made in your own practice or business? And that's what you alluded to just now, Shruti, in how you're using technology. And again, I see this as two parts or two types of technology. One is technology that helps you run your business more smoothly, or run your practice more smoothly, get better access to people, to your potential clients. So all of the admin stuff kind of thing, like the scheduling software or the video conferencing software. And then there is technology that you use in the actual coaching partnership itself, right? So that technology. So there's two kinds of technology here that we're talking about. And thank you so much for drawing that distinction so clearly. Thank you. I so appreciate that. How about you, Nannapat?
Question. So in my practice, the technology were on top of the, thanks to Zoom, to be able to coach clients across the globe, and then scheduling, Calendly scheduling
Yes.
tool that help like those, so no email back and forth. For coaching in the business itself, I use like the it's called the business management software that helps a lot in terms of how I navigate um, the coaching and who show up and when and things like that. So that helps a lot. So in terms of like the business, but when it comes to supporting the client, so we have different technologies, right? Running the business is one, and one to use in coaching. I use data, right? So I use a lot of human data to really help understanding the perspective and help the team coaching to be able to see the differences in the dynamic of the team. So before this, I need to, like, we have assessment. There's a lot of assessment out there, but there's not a lot of them that we can visualize and be able to present it within like half a minute, right? Everything show in half a minute, and the team was just like, oh my god, this is where we are. And so that has been exciting, in terms of how we can turn the team dynamic around very quickly, using data and visualize presentation and all those dashboard that we can do these days by using both AI and data. Another one that I use in my business is the how we can use the app, right? So I'm thinking about what the app to be able to support the clients that they don't need to show up using laptop or computer anymore. So basically, sending them a nudge on the app on the phone, because everybody is on the phone this day, and you can't get away from me. Like, I'm reminding you on scheduling your session, or this is a practice that you should focus on and things like that. So I have been using apps quite a bit as well. It's been helping because otherwise I'm just gonna spend a lot of time doing the work, and now I can schedule it, and then the clients will have a good experience too because
Mm.
they, okay, now I'm being reminded and I can do uh, some homework in the app, and then also some study that they can do as well.
This is fantastic. And I'm loving hearing the different perspectives that both of you are bringing here, you know, the way you use technology in different formats. And I want to put a plug in for our next session just because of what you said, Nannapat. So Medu, the software, and then we're meeting the co-founders tomorrow evening, US time. Uh, uh, Paulwyn and Allard, what they have developed is this sort of shared space between the coach and the client that always is there. So it's asynchronous. It's always available. So you of course you make notes and things like that, but the space is always available. And exactly to your point, that then you're accessible and the client also feels supported, and that you can access resources from the coach in your own time without being intrusive on their schedule. And so, and also what's coming up for me as I said that is a lot of these are also very, they're focused, they are based on the Western concepts of time and time management as well. It just struck me because if you go to the global South or the East, uh, time is circular, and how we manage time and how we uh, schedule who we spend time with, the decisions are made very differently from how it's made in the Western world. It just occurred to me. But yeah, so there's technology for all of these different aspects, be it running your business or be it managing your partnership, your coaching partnership with your clients. And it's been fascinating to hear what you two have been doing. So taking this a little bit further, and I know you've alluded to this a little bit already, what are some technology advancements that you are actively working on using uh, for yourself as well? Nanapat?
The new technology is coming is the AI coach bot, right? So that's what I'm exploring. Um, how can they utilize bot to be able to do like the minimum work? So it's like when we ask question on ChatGPT, and you can utilize that to replicate yourself. So I'm looking into that. I'm very interested in how I can utilize that. I haven't implemented that yet. It's a little bit scary. So I need to be careful with that. But the bot will be able to help navigate um, simple questions and be able to do a small transactional coaching questions, right? Not a deeper question. So I'm exploring that. Don't know where it's gonna lead yet. So that's what I know that's happening in the market, that they have the technology out there, and I so love technology. I get shiny object syndrome. It's just like interested in all those things, right? Not necessarily good to spend a lot of time on that at the moment, but because I'm so excited about new technology and I want to use them. So I explore those, understand what it means. Like I use all the version of ChatGPT and on a business level, and also try to understand as well. So I try to see what I can use the AI coach bot.
Hmm.
So
And
that's that's where I am.
is that something you can share? Is that a link for an AI coach bot?
Oh, no, not no. They have like a developer that's doing it. So but I haven't found a company that's doing that yet. But what I found, another thing that can be useful at the moment is the um still a bot, but you can do your own video and you can just like write all those things and then it turn it to be a video for you. So you can just do a training educational session using your own avatar or your own AI bot to be able to teach the course. So that's a lot of apps out there, and I forgot the names. I've been using a few that come out, so the company is not stable yet. So you can reach out to me, and I will, I will tell you what am I using.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's just fascinating. Thank you. And I noticed that a few more people have joined, so I just wanted to bring everyone up to speed. So first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us today. And as you know, we are in an inaugural episode of this three-part conversation series on the role and impact of technology in amplifying the power of coaching. And the three of us here, myself, Shruti, and Nannapat, we're all coaches, ICF certified coaches. We come from and live in different parts of the world, and our focus areas in coaching as coaches are also very different. And so we've been talking about how each of us is using technology and what is it. We've explored what does technology really mean for us as coaches. So we so far we said, oh well, there's technology that we use to run our practice, our business, the operational side of it, the admin side of it, and then there's technology that we actually use in our coaching partnerships that we share with our clients, and there is shared space that's digital that we use as well. And we just started delving into AI chatbots and coach bots and whatnot. So that's where we are so far. We have roughly another 30 to 45 minutes in this conversation. And I invite everyone, those who have just joined us, to also share where you're joining us from. And I also invite everyone in the audience to pop in your questions as they come to you in the chat, and we'll include those in our conversation as well. And before we move on, I also wanted to add that I use some of the same technology as you've mentioned, both of you have mentioned, so Zoom for meeting and Calendly, and then I'm still figuring out what kind of business operation software I want to use, and in order to have a very smooth, seamless experience for the client as they book sessions with me or as they learn more about what I do and what kind of coaching I provide. And then the other part also is, since I am a virtual coaching practice, I do invest a lot of time and resources in building and maintaining an online presence for myself as a coach, right? So that's the other piece. So technology like video editing and building content that's digital, and also sharing it via the channels that I've chosen to. So that's how I currently use technology. I am also a beta user on Medu, who the co-founders will be meeting tomorrow. And I'm fascinated with how that's going to shape up. So I've not gone into anything AI related at the moment. Like I said earlier, I'm waiting for all the dust to settle. But I am keeping up with reading about how these LLMs, large language models, how are they designed and how do they work? And if folks are interested, you should look up Dr. Emily Bender and the work that she's done in this space. She's a linguistics professor at University of Washington. And she's not very active on LinkedIn, but she's published papers and whatnot. So she is someone that I follow to understand a little bit more about what's happening in the LLM space. And thank you, folks, for sharing where you're joining us from. So we have folks from Bangalore in India. We have folks from Antalya, Turkey. That's wonderful. Thank you. And any questions that the audience has? I'm just going to give it a minute. Okay. And oh yeah, and we have Poonam here from Virginia. Yes. Okay. So next I wanted to sort of explore a little bit about what is it that you are most excited about as you see new technology come into the market, and as you continue to use technology that you already do right now? Shruti, let's start with you.
I think I'm gonna copy this, Nannapat, from you, the shiny object syndrome. It's amazing that you said that. I think it's a great usage of what I feed as well with technology. So with your permission, using that, I think a couple of things is that just a few days ago, I was in an exercise using ChatGPT to build a bot, right? It was a hackathon and it was so much fun. So just trying to understand how we could personalize conversations. I think that was the theme. But it kind of opened my eyes as to how much personalization can we do with technology. There is always a line drawn to what extent this can go to, right? So again, that's not drawn anywhere at this point, but I'm excited to learn more about that. I've been playing with ChatGPT for a while now and trying to understand. I think the few things that I'm inspired from this conversation is to just understand apps on client engagement. I think that's something that I have not explored as much, but it seems like such a good means to stay in touch with people that we are continuously having a conversation with, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe breaking the bridge of this. As much as we know as coaches, 80-20, the silence is really important, but I don't want the silence to be so pinching that the client wonders where we're at. So I think an app could very much bridge that gap. So I'm excited to see what those options are. Also, I write journals, so I journal very regularly. So I think there are a lot of journal management systems also that are out there that support clients, at least people. I think one of the researches that I conducted was how people were skeptical to even journal because they thought nothing good had happened to them in the day, right? So unless something good happened, they didn't want to journal. And that definition of good becomes something for us to explore then. What does it mean? Like, and I think I personally have found a lot of value from journaling. And it's nice to see that I come across people who feel that way as well. It's not an affirmation of any kind, but it's just that I'm able to bring value from where I found value. And so journal management systems from technology perspective, I think that is something I'd like to explore. And also this Netflix approach that people have to life, right? That the moment you open Netflix, it just knows what you want to watch. It just knows what to tell you. So how personalization can be done through technology? I think I'm still exploring this for sure. I don't know what lies ahead, but I'm going to look forward to how I can use technology to the best of this approach.
Absolutely. I loved what you shared about journaling and something you said about, I didn't have anything good happen. And so I'm going to skip journaling. Yeah. It just made me pause, and it made me think about, and what really came up for me as you said that is, okay, what kind of technology can ever figure that out? That's a spot to actually delve a little deeper with the client and understand what does good look like to you, right? And it made me wonder also with the amount of bias that already exists in the system. So we can, a large percentage of the AI tools and systems that exist, they are born in bias, off bias, and so they are just amplifying the biases that already exist in our minds and our systems. So I just went down that rabbit hole when I heard you say that.
It's interesting you say bias, because if I may say so, I think, like you said, whatever the systems are being built are from and by us, we hold bias. But if we train AI enough, they say that there will be a system that does not hold any bias. Now, is that good for us or not? That becomes another question, right? So just something interesting.
Absolutely. And also we need to have big conversations and action-oriented conversations around what does inclusion and equity look like. We already know that large sections of society have been excluded from the development work that's gone into AI. And so how can we fix that? And so there's this whole movement around ethical and responsible AI, right? So and I think for us as coaches, that's something that we need to pay attention to and keep track of, and engage with it as and when we get opportunities to do that. Yeah. And before I pass it back to Nannapat, I just wanted to plug in another thing. So the World Economic Forum puts out this report called the Future of Jobs report that comes out every year. So if you look at the Future of Jobs report, and I'm putting in a link here that will take you to all the infographics. So the one around the top 10 skills of 2023, the top 2 skills are actually I'm going to share my screen really if I can. Analytical thinking. Here we go. So it's interesting to see what the top 10 skills are, right? So it's none of that has anything to do with technology. Whoops. Let me stop sharing. I think I did something here. Sorry about that. So the top 10 skills: analytical thinking, creative thinking. Number 3 is resilience, flexibility, and agility, motivation and self-awareness, curiosity and lifelong learning. Number 6 is technological literacy. And then it says dependability and attention to detail, empathy and active listening, leadership and social influence, and quality control. Now tell me which of these is a bot going to do for us? Right, so that I thought was interesting. I just wanted to pop that in there. So back to you, Nannapat. What is it that you are most excited about when it comes to the future of technology and coaching?
A piece of technology in itself that I'm excited about, but I am excited about the productivity that can come with it and the scalability that can come with it, because we, as coaches, we max out with the time, but we can coach one client. But with technology, I believe that the impact can be more massive if we put more work into developing. I'm not talking about I'm going to have AI bot coaching for me, right? But it's more like, okay, with like simple questions and things like that, then I'm looking to that, or maybe video and teaching a certain thing that I can have. AI can help me with whatever the talk point and things like that. So those will help me save a lot of time, to be able to focus my time on the clients. And that's what I'm excited about. It's like, save time, and then be able to actually create more experience, or better experience sometimes, because it can help us to be quicker and faster in certain area that we're not good at, right? So that's what I wanted to focus on, the area that I'm not good at, and technology can help. I'm not good at all the scheduling and things like that. So definitely the technology can help. I'm not good at admin. That's what I'm not good at naturally. So those can take a lot of burden out of my shoulders, and save coaches from making mistake on double booking, or things like that. So that's what I'm excited about. And then the client have the experience to have a good experience on, all the above. On they feel like they're being taken care of when they need it, through accessibility without reaching us directly, right? So we are talking to us directly. So that's what I'm excited about.
Thank you. And something that you had said earlier as well, I don't know who among the two of you said that, is using technology as an to help us as opposed to replace us, right? And I love what you said about the self-awareness that you have around what is it that comes naturally to me and doesn't, and then using technology to help with the things that don't come naturally to you. And I think that's a very wise approach to using and integrating technology, so that at the end of the day, you're still focused on being of service to your clients in a way that makes most sense for them. So that's fantastic. Another question popped up for me as you were sharing that, Nannapat. And I'll start with you, and I would love to hear from Shruti as well. How do clients respond to the use of technology in your practice?
Depends, right? If it's like scheduling, it's make it easier for them. So I don't have any resistance from clients. Um, in the app, sometimes the assistant come in and I don't know what it wants, or it's a technical thing that they need to understand how to use it. So I need to do a better onboarding in terms of explaining how to
Mm,
use it in whatever the video that I have to explain on how to use or things like that. So I don't have a lot of resistance. As long as I do a better onboarding, then the clients are quite okay.
mm, mm,
Again, I didn't do anything like very fancy at, at the moment. So it's still very human like touch, and then like human likes, right? So that's what I don't want it to shy away from. At the end of the day, we still a personalized service, and we're still focusing on a lot of human interaction. So
mm.
I use it to enhance the practice, and that should help with the customer experience or client experience.
Right, right. Um, a quick follow-up there. So, um, are you seeing in your own practice or with fellow coaches, are you seeing where your clients are looking for technology embedded in their experience other than the admin side?
Well, in clients have been coaching, um, they use a lot of technology already, and many of them are in technology. So they also very um, like technology friendly, so app friendly. So I don't have that issue. But what they have been using is already like the application, right? So like meditation or organization. Um, I would say to-do list, but it's not exactly to-do list. It's more like productivity app that they also
Mm,
using. So those are the things that they have been using already that they don't look for in coaching with me. So that's like more like the basic thing that they already have. Like they're not gonna look for coming to me. I'm not a meditation coach, right? So they're not gonna come to me for okay, look for meditation and thing, but they can find it in the app or thing like that's what they have been using already. Um, but
mm,
coming to a coach, look for a blind spot, look for um, deeper conversation, reflection, and things like that.
right. So if I understood you correctly, in your case, most of your clients, given that they work in technology most often, they already use a lot of other apps. So they are not really looking for any sort of technology embedded in the engagement that they have with you as a coach, right?
That's what they need, right? That's what they're coming to me for.
Mm,
They need me to call them out on certain things, which the app sometimes can't.
mm,
So it's more like a reminder. But when they come especially to my coaching services, is more on how do I do things better that I can find it anywhere else? How do I become a better leader? What is holding me back? And what am I missing here? So those are the conversation that we have in the session,
mm,
and they don't look for Nanapa, is there any other technology? But there will be more resources that I will refer to, right? But they never come to me like, okay, I'm looking for the next technology, but they're yearning for the human interaction and
mm.
the coach to be able to support that.
That's so I'm filled with optimism when I hear that, uh, because something that I always also wonder about is, especially the higher up the leaders are in terms of hierarchy, there are so many competing demands on their time. So do they look for shortcuts in their coaching engagements and look to use technology to help them with that? So this is very, I'm feeling hopeful after hearing your experience. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Over to you, Shruti. How's it been for you? What are you most excited about in terms of technology?
I think I'm just reminded one of the pioneers in the American coaching industry, Thomas Leonard. He said the phone was a revolution because now people can get coached over the phone. So I'm just reminded of that because a lot like what Nannapat just shared, I don't have a demand or a need that is shared that this certain technology needs to be in place. However, I think the video conferencing has been a massive game changer for me personally. Whether it is general coaching or whether it's creative coaching that I do with painting, I think whenever I do workshops, I have people who ask me, can you do this online? And I wonder, okay, 3 people have asked for an online group coaching session. Maybe I'll set something up. And it's strange that over the next few days, I will have a handful of people who'll say, oh, we don't want it online. We want it personally. We can tell you which coffee shop we want to meet at. We can tell you which hotel we want to meet at. So I think I've seen like both people exist, right? And the technology for me at this point, whether it's video conferencing, whether it's utilizing any scheduling app, is just so that I can cater to a customized approach. It is a pure aid for me. I don't see the need of anything fancy coming from the clients. But for some, the needs are very different for different people, right? And I'm able to customize that approach through these requests that are coming. And they're not big, like we're not talking VR or we're not talking anything massive or chat GPT like. All we're saying is, can I meet at certain time? Can I meet at this place? I want to have a physical creative painting workshop. I don't want to have it online. So these requests I'm able to cater to, but I don't have anything fancy coming from clients as such. I don't know if that's a common theme across coaches, but people just want people I've spoken to or had conversations with, they want people to listen to them, to understand them, to have someone to just be on the other end. Nothing else is required, right? And it's just a presence, I think. But one effort I've had to put in additional when these tools are in place, I think the contracting changes very differently for me when it's virtual. There are extra things that I need to be mindful of in terms of contracting with people so that they understand, because the silence also, right? The silence needs to be very different online versus physical. And also very basic, I feel, but maybe not so much, but eye contact. My eye contact level completely changes when it's physical versus online. I think these are just subtle differences, but yeah, to answer your question, there's no demand as such for something massive to come through.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm just also looking in the chat here. Thank you, Faiza. And I'm so glad that you found this useful. And we'll also be sharing the recording later. Something that came up as you said that, Shruti, about eye contact and silence and all of that. I also wanted to plug in the needs of folks that are neurodivergent. And that's another aspect that I don't know. And it just came up for me is like, okay, how is that accounted for when we use technology? Because a lot, and that all goes back to how inclusive is the creative process for technology, right? So things that we have, who decides what's normal? And so things like, even in the interview process, oh, there's things around body language and eye contact and stuff like that. which may not be applicable for people who are on the spectrum, and how do we account for that? And that it just made me aware of something, of that as another thing that I need to be conscious of as a coach. That's all. I just want to plug that in there. And then the other thing that came up for me, as both of you have shared, is that your clients are not looking for any use of technology in the coaching process itself. Of course, they love the ease of scheduling or maybe making payments and things like that. So all on the admin side, that's definitely appreciated, but not so much in the actual engagement, which I would say personally for me is very heartening to hear. As we carry on with the conversation, I also now wanted to understand, what is it that keeps you up at night as coaches in the context of technology? Shruti?
I want to say I just pray and hope we continue with the emotional mindset that we have. I mean, but jokes apart, I feel I do not want to feel stressed. I am not stressed yet. And I say that because we talk about catering to clients, we talk about having the presence of a coach, but also there is a business side of things. Right. And how do we show up? I, for one, I'm a full-time employee, but also coaching. And for me, it's a very different journey, not better, worse, but just different of how I'm catering to clients, right? And how do you keep up with everything? How do you stay relevant in all true sense while I am trying to just be myself and bring myself to the table, being authentic? And there's so much of, so for example, just recently I was talking to a CEO, and when I mentioned the idea of having a coach for employees, he said, no, I have water cooler conversations. My employees are fine. And I'm thinking, okay, great, good for you. But and it just brought back a little thought for me, is that what makes us different from so many other coaching consultancies? I don't mean competition, but I need a healthy survival of everybody else, right? There's space for all of us. All of us have different skills that we bring to the table. And when you talked about the spectrum, Meenakshi, I'm also thinking, I've tasted a little bit of that because I've been vocal about being dyslexic, and it's different. I, for one, understand that I can get stressed over things like that, but I'm doing my best to stay aware, be self-aware, and just trying to be as confident as I can while I learn through the process of technology and it being my aid in enhancing my capability or skills that already exist, right? So I'm on that journey, and I'm just hoping that right now I'm sleeping very peacefully. Let me just say that. But at the same time, I think something that two things I want to say personally as a coach is that, am I relevant enough? Am I being able to sustain the so-called, not the market, but the need of the people that I'm with, right? And the second thing is, I would also hope that the people who are requiring coaches, people who need someone to listen to them, don't just get a sort of feeling that technology is taking over. I have nobody to talk to. So that might be a feeling. I don't, but I would want people who need coaches to feel comfortable to reach out to people and say that, I mean, technology is not taking over, we're still here. So that kind of a conversation, I hope, happens.
That's so poignant. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. How about you, Nannapat?
Spot on, Shruti. The being relevant. I think that's one concern. Personally, because I do full-time coaching now and running business. So being relevant in the market is my main concern. It's like, am I needed, or is my service like being obsolete now that the technology coming in, and would it replace some of the thing that I do? So those kind of fear can also can trip me over sometime, like keeping me up at night. Like, okay, what's the next big thing that's going to be coming, and I'm not going to be relevant anymore, and I need to shift. So that's why the shiny object syndrome is still here and still relevant. One thing that, okay, what's the technology, and another thing is the dynamic, right? So the needs of the client, things are changing all the time. So what are the needs that they need the support and the service for, right? So what are the coaches and the coaching services, or even consulting and leadership consulting services? What are they looking for? So being relevant in that realm, and also, is my skill relevant
Hmm.
for the market, right? So, there's a few dynamic that we're talking about being relevant. One is, uh, my skill is relevant. Can I still coach in this new dynamic, or what is the market is doing now? What are the things that they're doing out there in the future, and what's the technology that's going to replace some of the things that I do, right? So learning all that is constant learning. um, Sometimes I can get a little bit of imposter syndrome of being out there as well. But as long as I can still stay grounded and understand where I am and who I can support, that that has been helpful. But it doesn't stop me from worrying. So
Yeah, yeah, totally understand that. And both of you have been so vulnerable and so human in sharing that. I so appreciate that. And I share several of those concerns, if you will. Relevance is one, also scalability. And that's also balancing what does scalability look like for me? What does scaling really mean to me? And being able to reach the people um, that I know I can bring the most value to. How do I reach them? And how do I make coaching, how do I play my role in democratizing coaching, both from an access and a financial standpoint? So those are things I think about. And yes, I think about in terms of technology. Uh, I think I am worried a little bit in terms of how will the sanctity of the coaching process be retained with the onslaught of technology. I think that's something I worry about. And because if coaching becomes commoditized, like a lot of our other human development uh, interventions, I don't know if it will still be as effective. So that's something that I do worry about. But I am excited about the way technology is shaping our experience, both as coaches and for our clients. And I just put a link to an article on LinkedIn, Unleashing the Power of Generative AI in Coaching. So the technologist in me wants to understand how all of this works, and I am doing that work. But I'm not yet ready to use any of it in my practice. I think that's where I am, because I want to understand what the implications are, what are the long-term implications. So I don't want to start off on a fad diet only to find out that it's actually harmful for me, right? So I'm kind of waiting around to see how it all shakes out. So that's where I am. This has been absolutely fantastic, and I've learned so much from this conversation. And as we begin to wrap this up, I'd love to hear from both of you. Any words of advice that you have for aspiring coaches? Shruti?
I think I genuinely believe life is very customizable. So what works for me might not work for you. So I don't know what kind of advice I can provide apart from. So I've just one thing that I've learned from my dad, and I'd be remiss if I don't mention this, is it is a privilege to be a part of someone's journey. And that's something my army dad always told me. And I till date live that. And I think if there's anyone out there and you find joy in being a part of someone's journey, do not take a step back. I think that's all I'm going to say, because whether if someone's on a journey or a path to be somewhere and you join them along, it would be your privilege. And if it's not you, it's going to be somebody else. So be selfish. Want to have the need or the want to be that partner on the journey. I think I'm selfish that way. So if I see a partner and I think I can bring value, I want to hop onto that journey and just be there. That's probably one thing I've learned, is that it's definitely a privilege to be a part of someone's journey. So be yourself. Among the whole rat race, there's so many coaches out there. I want to take from what you said, Meenakshi, is the sanctity of coaching, right? Everyone who's ever given advice to anybody calls themselves a coach, right? And we know that that's not what coaching is. It's not providing advice, but be yourself, learn. There is so much to, there's a technicality to coaching.
Yep.
So to take that for granted. There's so much technical skill set that is required for you to be an enabled coach. Yeah, I said no advice, but there go 3 points.
Thank you so much, Shruti. And I love how you called out that, yes, if you look on LinkedIn, for example, every second person is an agile coach and every third person is a coach. And so, it's so important for also folks that are looking to hire a coach to know what to look for, aside from accreditation, be it ICF or any other credentialing body. It's also the understanding what goes into being a coach, right? It's first of all, it's a process of being. It's not becoming, and I think there's a lot of training that goes into it. It's an investment that we put in, and we as coaches have to invest a lot in our own professional development as well if we want to stay of service to our clients. So thank you for calling that out. Nannapat, how about you?
Well, you talking about advice and in coaching?
Yes. Words of advice for aspiring coaches.
Okay, so coaching is a journey, right? And then it's also your journey to become a great coach. And I'm still on a journey, even though I didn't start as an ICF coach, so I was an NLP coach to start with. But it's a journey, and for your own personal development, to be able to grow as a person as well, so as a great coach. So I am still aspiring to be a great coach, to continue the journey. So my advice is to still be an aspiring coach, right? So it's a journey. We haven't reached our destination yet. We might reach some milestones, right? But it's learning. And even though we're talking about technology today, I'm still learning on different elements of, okay, well, coaching, integration with technology, how can we make it better? How can we be a service of somebody who's in front of us, physically or virtually, right? So just remember that it's a journey, and during the journey, just don't beat yourself up. And many of the coaches are doing that, right? It's like, I'm not good enough and all that, right? So if you remember it's a journey, just enjoy the ride.
That is fabulous, Nannapat, and such a great reminder for practicing self-compassion, right? So thank you so much for that. And thank you everyone who joined us live, and everyone that will watch the recording. We appreciate your time and interest. If there are any questions, please pop it in the chat. And we'd love for you to join us back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. New York time, where we will meet with the co-founders of Medu, which is a software that's co-created with coaches and clients, and it's meant for coaches and clients alike. And we're going to talk to the co-founders who are based in Sydney, Australia, to talk about their take on the role and impact of technology in amplifying the power of coaching, and what is it that got them started in this journey. So we'd love for you to join us then. As I wrap up today's conversation, I just want to reiterate that technology. What I have taken away from this conversation is that technology will always be there, and there's always going to be something new. It's really the human understanding and the human intention that that will shape the use of it or the implementation of that technology. And so we still have a lot of choice in the matter. That's what I'm taking away from this. And I'm also feeling very hopeful and optimistic that we still, our clients are still looking for that human connection. They're looking for that dedicated time and space where they can actually do the inner work. And no amount of technology can be a substitute for that. So coaching will continue to, in my opinion, remain one of the most powerful of human interactions. And we can all use technology to elevate that experience and to make it easier to access that experience. But we, at least the three of us here, strongly believe that it's not going to be a replacement. It'll just continue to be an aid, and assistive technology is what it'll going to be. So with that, I want to thank you both, Shruti and Nannapat. Thank you so much both for being here and sharing your time and your insights and your wisdom with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you
It's
both.
been fun.
Yes, absolutely. And so we'll be back again. I'll be back again with my two guests, co-founders of Medu, tomorrow at 8 p.m. and then back again on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern with the co-founders of Vierbo, Francisco and Marcos. So look forward to seeing you all there. And the registration info for all of these sessions are on the homepage of my website. I'm going to put that in here in the chat. So you can look forward to seeing you there as well. Thank you, everyone. Once again, happy International Coaching Week. Take care and be well, and see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks.